Okay.
Copper's gone up about too.
They're calling our phone.
That line,
It has.
that switch.
Says
Yep.
Copper Futures jumped
Thank you.
over.
It's the recording, lights up the recording, sign, just for the sign.
Okay. Yep.
Doesn't actually change anything, it's
No.
just a light.
Just so people know,
Yeah,
that's how it's for.
did you say they're calling us?
I think that was the plan, but,
Okay,
cause they
into
were,
our conference line or into our, like, hard lines for the office and stuff?
Quarter cents,
I don't know
corn
for
went
sure
up 3
either,
quarters.
he was meeting with them over there.
He's meeting with them over there.
Yeah.
She'll probably call the office.
Corn would be about 4. And soybeans were 447, they went down a little bit and they went back up, so.
14.
I mean, 947.
447 would be awful.
That's close.
First you could hope for
Well,
14.
you know what the old story is, you want $20 for your beans? All in 2 bushel.
I'll sell you mine for that right now.
Yeah.
You got a bunch on hand?
No.
Oh. I took mine straight in from the field and I'm not sad about that. I don't know.
I'm just saying you can't get $10 right now.
No.
9.5 almost.
That's why I was offering to sell you plenty for 10.
But I want at least 2 bushel.
Yeah.
Make it an even $20 bill, right?
Well, 2.4 then.
Yeah.
Changing the rules.
You ever got paid too much?
I would have to say, this is gonna be 25, I think what we sold the 22 crop for in 23 was probably too much, it did more harm than good.
When beans hit $12 and corn was $3.30, was that back in 70, early 70s?
That's like I told you the other day, that's when I was not paying attention to the price of corn and beans.
That, it used to be that corn was, between 95 and a buck, and soybeans were between 250 and, maybe close to 3. For years and years, it never varied. You had the ceiling program and.
I heard the story I always heard was a quarter to a half a cent was a big move.
Yeah, and cash rent was $15 an acre.
So what percentage of I'm sure Iowa State has figures on this, but what percentage of the ground that is rented, of ground that's rented, what percentage is cash rent? What percentage is crop share, and what percentage is a hybrid?
On which line?
I.
How will it present it?
they were,
They're probably on the
Okay.
conference line. Carter, you wanna get
On the conference line or a regular line?
I don't know anything.
No, not a regular line.
It's
On
got
the
a
conference
conference.
line.
yeah.
You do?
Most of what I read is shit crop, so.
Yep,
That's
so,
kind of an anomaly.
what,
Follow the-
Yeah, could be, I think I've read numbers on it, but I don't remember what they were.
Please enter the mailbox number, or to exit, press the pound key.
not the mailbox.
No,
number.
that didn't do it right, hold on. You get 9, yep, I did that on 9, but for whatever reason it didn't do what I wanted to do. There we go.
Welcome to AT&T's teleconference service. Please enter your access code, followed by the pound sign. To join the conference as the host, press star, otherwise, press pound. Please enter your host password, followed by the pound sign. There are 2 participants on the call, including you. You are joining your conference as the host. For a menu of available commands, press star pound.
Good morning, everyone. This is Kossuth County here.
Good morning, Kyle. This is Palo Alto County, the full board's here. Carmen and Jordan from the auditor's office, and Colin's here with us, and we have one resident here also.
Perfect, we have our full board, auditor, drainage clerk, and our 2 supervisors elect are also in the crowd. So,
Okay,
we are ready whenever you guys are. If Colin's ready, we're good to go.
yep, okay. Well, morning, everybody. Yeah, so I wanted to follow up, when we had the hearing for PAK 1, we talked about nesting season restrictions on CRP lands along the ditch and concerns about that. Kind of where we ended up is that, I mean, there was I didn't know about this, but that there's a ban on CRP adjacent to drainage district facilities in Kossuth County. And in order to get to basically for this to be allowed in, a landowner has to get this exemption approved by the board, and they have to sign off on it. Part of that exemption, and Marge sent me a copy of that, says that the applicant understands that the drainage district will have unrestricted year-round access to the enrolled land, including but not limited to the primary nesting season, to maintain, repair, improve, inspect, or for any other purpose benefiting the drainage district. So, when I read that, I thought, well, that sounds pretty clear cut. As long as those are in place, and that's been agreed to, we shouldn't need to go through the process of, having these landowners request to the state technical committee permission to disturb CRP during the nesting season. So I had been talking with a gentleman from the FSA at the state office, and he had a different story about that. He said basically that agreement doesn't cancel out their requirements. It's specifically, he's talking about NEPA requirements or something like that. And he said he claimed it's less about the nesting season and more about any disturbance of CRP land. But he also said that he acted like it's not a big deal. Like, a lot of people have made these requests and they haven't had a problem getting those approved. He made it sound like it's just it's a formality, or in other words, kind of government red tape. That was a different story, obviously, than what this exemption agreement told. So that's a part of the reason we're having this discussion, to see kind of what should we do next. I did talk with Jim Hudson, and to try to get his opinion on, what's governing here, because we have this exemption agreement, and FSA is saying that doesn't count. What do we do? And Jim didn't give an answer really on which one supersedes the others. Basically, the opinion that he gave is that if it's not a huge deal to go through that process, and assuming we can get the approvals and have no problem, it's probably not worth, trying to fight that battle. If they were saying, it might be different if they were saying you can't disturb any ground on the CRP during the nesting season. But that's not necessarily the case. We just need to get those landowners to request the permission, and presumably it will be approved. I don't like this sort of thing, because I've been there, done that, where they've got these requirements, and if you read them plainly, they sound pretty restrictive. And the biggest concern I have is that they could potentially end up having to do a phase 1 environmental assessment. Well, how long would that take? He told me that they haven't done one in any project, any drainage ditch work that they've done so far, so presumably that's not gonna be an issue until it is. So I don't know, I think for this project, I guess where I'm at is, you know, we could send letters to the landowners along the ditch and have a form letter, you know, that they could just sign and mail to the state FSA office, or the state technical committee, get those approved, and then we can move on with the project. But that doesn't necessarily mean that someday down the line there could be a problem with this sometime in the future. So I guess that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of the situation that we're in. Any thoughts or questions or comments? Direction?
Well, we have before went in nesting season and did repairs on drainage ditches without doing all the red tape. So I don't know why we should start now, but it's not gonna be under my watch anymore, but that's my opinion.
And I would say the same thing, the unfortunate side is if they've changed the rules within the last year or whatever, and things that were done 5-10 years ago would have never had this piece of the pie, so it is new territory to some degree, and I don't like it by any means, but.
It's changing the precedents and how we do things in Kossuth County, which is something that I don't really think that we should do, but that's. The reason we did it is because we have more drainage than any other county in the state of Iowa. And we have an awful lot of CRP ground on dredge ditches, and we like it, and we appreciate the CRP on dredge ditches, but we don't wanna be restricted on how we do repairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we did a whole new project, I would tend to maybe bend a little, but this isn't a new project, this is just site-specific repairs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm not as much concerned about this one, I mean, we do have some lead time and it's engineered in the whole 9 yards, but at the same time, the precedent of what does this do for every other small fix here and there, and is it gonna be a hassle, or is it gonna be fine for a couple of years and then it becomes a hassle after they get everyone to fill out all these forms, and I don't know.
Yeah, and one thing I'll just say, if this issue becomes more of an issue at any point in time, the drainage district hold the card, because in Kossuth County there, you already have technically a ban of CRP along drainage ditches. And that's not something we necessarily want to, like you said, we don't necessarily wanna restrict that, but if they're gonna make it very difficult or impossible to be able to do drainage work without getting these landowners in trouble, then the trump card is to just have a flat ban of, all of it, or at least threaten that, to try to get better, less restricted requirements. Yep.
Hey, Colin, this is something I just kinda thought about and I didn't ask you before, but is this new stuff things that were spurred by legislation, or is it administrative rules that they're changing? Because maybe that's another way to look at it of authority.
So the explanation that I got, because this fired up as an issue about 15 years ago, and there was a whole round of back and forth about, do you even allow CRP along drainage ditches if this is gonna be a problem? And they came up with an agreement, and essentially it's a policy. It's not a law or anything like that. But then that was in place for many years, and then, I think in 2018, they did a review of all their stuff, and the big driver in changing that was that, we need to incorporate this NEPA stuff. And that's where, we gotta send it to the state technical committee and then have somebody with the FSA look at what you're gonna try to do and determine whether or not it's a new disturbance that they need a phase one environmental assessment. That's where that's my understanding of what triggered the change. In general, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of ditch clean outs and things that have been done in CRP in the past, and nobody's gone through these formalities, this red tape, and it's been fine.
Well, I think
I
legally,
guess that's just something, yeah, go ahead.
our easement supersedes anything that the FSA office has, because they are older easements.
Our right of way would be before their agreement, but
Yeah,
the difficult thing is you put the landowners in between county and federal government in that regard, so we're probably not gonna be the ones punished, it's gonna be the landowners that are gonna be caught in the crossfire.
that's right. Yep, the drainage district has the full right to go on the right of way and do maintenance. It's just a matter of, are there unintended consequences to the landowner who has a CRP contract? We don't wanna unintentionally get them in trouble, but there's a balance with that.
Howard or Amber, you got any thoughts or questions? Not to put you on the spot, though.
Well, no, I'm sitting here thinking that I don't know what easement you have and what ruling you have and what power you think you have, but I'd be in the camp that you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It might be the time to draw a line in the sand. And, you know, if the landowner wants to go get permission, fine, but we're gonna fix it anyway.
And
That's my opinion. I'm not fully informed.
yeah,
And change sets precedents, and so I think you have to tread lightly.
Well, and they repealed the waters of the U.S.
yeah.
So that took a lot of power away from,
Large breeze going by, but I know what you're talking about.
but it took a lot of their power away.
Again, take what I said with a grain of salt, but if I was sitting behind the desk.
Well, and Colin kinda touched on that, I mean, drainage districts have broad rights here through state law, and, I mean, Roger mentioned it too. That was in place long before these CRP contracts, we have a ban on CRP in drainage district facilities. There's a lot of pieces that the drainage districts and the county in that regard has authority, so I would fully agree with all that. It's just, we're risking having landowners in the middle.
I think you should just go ahead and send those out to the farmers, cause you're gonna have to do that anyhow.
Yeah.
What are you guys thinking? We couldn't hear that very clear.
Go ahead, Ron. I'm just saying that if this is what we have to do this CRP ground, you might as well send them in and see what happens. It isn't gonna help to talk about this unless we do something. And that's what Colin actually says, it's what we have to do. So what else can you do?
The risk you run here is it's not the fact that you can do with the project, you can't, the drainage district has that right. But you're gonna put the landowner in a tough position, because they're the ones that are receiving the CRP money. They're the ones that are gonna get in trouble for this, possible trouble, and it's just gonna put them in a difficult spot, so.
Yep.
No matter, and they're the ones that are gonna have to request the permission, so maybe you just put it to them to request the permission, then it's on their back to do it. If they don't do it, they didn't do it, and therefore then it at least puts it in their lap. I mean, because they're the ones that are gonna get in trouble anyway, so whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's sort of my thinking with this particular project. Like, it's tempting to wanna draw a line in the sand here, but at the same time, if it's as simple as sending letters out to these landowners and saying, send this, and then include a letter for them just to sign and send to the state technical committee, and put it on, that's not really much extra. is it worth, is it the right time to fight this battle, the right project? I don't know that it is.
Well, and I would not be opposed to sending a letter and kinda setting that up for landowners so that they could read it, understand it, send it in if they choose to and stuff, but I think in that same token, the narrative piece of what we send out, we probably need to make it clear that the district has the right and authority to do these projects, and these projects and the actual work is not going to be impacted by their CRP contracts, and we could reference our CRP ban in drainage district facilities, and if they've got any questions, they could look at that document and review it, whatever. But I think if we don't draw a line in the sand with the FSA, so to speak, I think we do need to draw a line in the sand with landowners at least and say that this is why we have this in place, because we are legally obligated to repair these facilities on behalf of the district, and that has to remain functional to do. I mean, kinda hits the best of both worlds maybe.
Yeah, I mean, this was under the heading of unintended consequences, because
Yep.
those landowners don't realize that this nesting thing is a part of the equation of the federal government.
Yep.
So if you send them a letter and at least they're aware that the drainage district has the right to do the project, but they could be impacted negatively if they don't follow through with this request.
Yep.
At least they would have an inkling of what's going on.
Right, I'd be fully supportive of that. I don't, Roger?
Yeah,
Good.
as long as it's obvious that we have the right to do it, they cannot stop us.
Like, I agree with you there, I think it's important we clarify that the district has the right and the responsibility to do these repairs, but it's in their best interest to understand and handle any obligations they may have with their own contracts, so kinda splits the difference there and protects our interests as a district and protects their interests as landowners all at the same time. Anyone else?
They don't follow this, they could lose the payment that's coming, plus all those back payments they might have to pay back. They have to know that. Maybe you wanna have it done.
Depends on how hard the FSA wants to push, I suppose.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, but like you said, you can word that saying the drainage district has the right to do this, just don't wanna negatively impact them without them being aware of it.
Yep.
This is a self-addressed letter state, we've got everything lined up so they know where to sit. Yeah.
Yep. I guess I like that idea, Colin. Are you able to kinda draft something for us and then let us review that or put something together based on the conversation here today, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, putting something together. If you wanna see that before I send it out, and I guess for that matter, maybe a question would be, do you want me to send that out from Jacobson Westergaard? Or do you want me to draft it and have that come from the county?
Probably you draft it and send it out.
It isolates us, we don't wanna send it out.
Let them handle the engineered project.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so then the second question, do you wanna see it before I send them?
I mean, I don't care, if you wanna email it to me, I would look at it. Or if you email it to everyone, we can take a quick peek at it, but I don't know if we need
Yeah, I would
to.
think you guys would wanna take a look at it before Colin sends it out, so you just understand what's,
Why don't you just include the whole board in
Yeah.
an email and that'd be fine.
action to direct Colin to do this?
Do we need, Kyle, do we need to take action on this to,
You know, have a vote and everything to give.
We
Colin
we probably could, and then we wouldn't have to fully convene together. I don't know if we wanna have him draft it, and then as chairs, we could give him the final blessing after we talk with our boards and general discussion here, once he puts it together. If you guys are good with that, maybe?
Yeah, I don't think we care, I mean, I think.
Okay,
I think as long as their board looks at it, because
Okay.
it's down in their area.
Yeah, if you guys get the email and are okay with it, and the draft, I mean, I don't think we, you know, I mean, we don't wanna stand in your way, but, you know, then we can give Colin the authority then, I don't care, it's
Okay.
however you wanna do it.
well then, yeah, I would say if we had a motion to direct Colin to prepare
Okay.
and send out these letters, and we can give him a final blessing once he's got a draft, I'm good with that.
Okay, you guys wanna make the motion and we'll second it?
Anyone?
I'll make the motion, Carter Nance here.
Okay, do we have a second from Palo Alto?
Ron grabs your second then.
Perfect, thank you guys. Any further discussion or questions on the motion? Otherwise, all those in favor from Kossuth, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried unanimous here.
Everybody in favor, say aye. All opposed, say none. Everybody is unanimous in favor of.
Perfect, thank you guys. Anything else for business today?
Okay. Thanks you guys, have a good Christmas if we don't talk to you before then.
Yep, thanks to you guys,
You too.
same. Alright. We have 11:11, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Wactor, second by Plath, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. We are adjourned, thank you all.